everybody, and welcome to this cook along. This is the first of 3 cook along sessions we're doing live tonight, tomorrow and Wednesday, and we're going to be using the pulses. Now I want to show you some easy, tasty little ways of using pulses, because sometimes people are confident with pulses, some people aren't too sure. They maybe put them in some soup and some stew and things like that. I'm also very conscious that I want to move away from tins. So I want to just advocate that the cost effectiveness, now I'm no mathematician, so I haven't worked this out, so you could go and do that. The JTS bag of organic chickpeas will make an absolute bucket load of chickpeas. And then when we make these rissoles tomorrow night, so more about that later, you can freeze them and use them a bit like fish fingers and take them out. So go ahead and make plenty and freeze them. But for tonight's recipe, we're going to use the lovely little red split lentils. These cook very quickly. This is very quick because there's no soaking needed. You can use red lentils straight from the packet. So let's get cracking. Because I've got this throat thing, this cough that I seem to have had from, I haven't had COVID, but I seem to have post-COVID. If you can have post-COVID without COVID, I don't know. But I can't stop coughing. So excuse me if I sound like I'm on Captain Fun strength 80 a day. But we're here. And we're doing, and we're cooking, and Fairtrade goes on, and that's what we want. Right, I've got an end result to show you, and I've pre-cooked some of the lentils for that bit, because otherwise it's standing here waiting for them to boil until we can move on. So what I've got here, now can I just mention my pan? This is a big saute pan, and I use it ever such a lot. So when you're cooking your peas, beans or lentils, it's excellent. The chickpeas, when I cooked them in this, because there was a good surface area, they just took under an hour to be lovely and soft. And the lentils only took about 15-20 minutes. So if you've got your recipe...
Rita's got a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Rita's got a question.
Yeah. What is it?
Are you okay to ask your question, Rita? You'll have to unmute.
Oh, is it Rita in Haworth?
Yeah.
Is it our Rita? Oh.
Yes, it's our Rita.
Come on, Rita, unmute yourself, love.
Or are you just waving at us? We'll just wave at Rita.
Right, well, I'll just carry on until Rita's ready to ask a question.
Carry on.
Lentils are in the pan, onto the heat, 450 mils of water. Now, don't worry, if it starts to boil dry and they're still not soft, you can add a touch more. Don't add a lot more, but a touch more. Lid on. Well, lid at an angle. That's kind of like the lentils on the way, nicely cooking away. Okay. So when you simmer them, what we've got here, we've got them to a mash kind of stage. I don't know if you can see that, but they're kind of like a soft. There is one or two that are whole, but they're soft, and there's some that you can't identify. It's a bit like it's a bit like a peas pudding. Now, into the pan here, with the water, I put in a stock cube. I like to use the jelly ones because I think they're a bit better quality. They don't have that powdery flavour, and they're usually, and you can get organic ones, and there's some good ones around. I do, other than make my own stock, I don't mind quality stock. So don't think you're letting the side down by buying stock. You can get some good stuff, and you can get some good organic stock cubes as well. So I've just used a vegetable one because I think if you wanted, you could use chicken, You can make this vegetarian if you want. It does have an egg in, so you could make it, I suppose you could make it vegan, but then when you bake it in the oven, it wouldn't set the same. I'll just have a second. I'm just going to cough. Excuse me. There you go. So that's that on with the stock cube, the jellified little stock cube. And here we have the same cooked in that stock, nice and soft. I don't know, just bring it a little bit more up to the camera so you can see. That's the consistency we want. A nice plop.
I was going to ask you actually, Sandy, you said to leave the lid on the pan, and we can see it's getting all steamy in there now. What does that actually do, leaving the lid on?
Well, it stops the water, the lid's on an angle, because if it's on too tight, it'll boil away. Sorry, it'll boil up. If you leave the lid off, you've more tendency of the water evaporating before it makes the lentil soft. So you're losing the water as steam rather than it acting in the pan. So just the lid on a jaunty angle. Okay, right. So that's our basic.
It's a bit more energy efficient to think that way as well. So with it being great big green.
Big green week, yes, I think it is. And then you can, and actually, do you have to boil away vigorously? I'm a big believer in controlling your heat rather than the heat controlling you. Sometimes I find when I'm showing people baking methods and things, they're often the heat's too high and it's running away with them. Then they feel out of control and they don't know what to do. And it's all, oh, it's cooking too fast and it's burning. And it's not hot, yet it's burning. And you say, well, you know, turn your gas down, turn your electric down, turn it down. You're in control. And of course, you don't need flames licking up the side of your pan. You just need it concentrated underneath. So once again, save that energy. Big green week. Just turn your gas down a little bit. Turn your electricity just down a little bit. Just have it on the simmer. You know, when you're making something like this, okay, it's quick and easy, but don't race it. Think cooking isn't a race. It's convenient enough, but it's not a race. Take the time to enjoy what you're doing and just let it simmer. I'm a big believer in simmering because it just sort of just takes the sting out of the day a little bit. You know, life races away enough. Your lentils don't have to. Right, so into here, I've got some fried onions. Now I sauteed these in some olive oil and garlic. So I did that a little bit earlier on because you don't want to watch me fry the chopped onion. There's a red one and a white one. So there's a whole, about the size of a whole onion. Once again, that may sound vague, but it's about, do you like onion? If you like onion, put a nice big Spanish onion in. It's up to you. If you like spring onion, bob a spring onion in, you know, bob spring onion in. You do need the bit of onion and garlic because I think when we're working with pulses and lentils, I am conscious that you do need to add in flavours. It's needing layers of flavours at pulses. So all the time, everything we add adds another layer of flavour. The lentil itself, the stock, the onion, the garlic, we're just getting all those layers working together. So give that a good stir in. I mean, if you didn't want to fry,
yeah, I suppose you could use a leek instead of the onion as well.
Yes, you could. You could. A leek would be lovely. Yes, it would. And if you didn't want to fry, you could actually put your chopped leek or onion in with your simmering lentils. You know, you could really make it one pot. You know, so bob them in as your lentils are simmering. It's the same thing. You know, cooking and recipes have to work with you. You know, they are a guide, and then it's up to you to make it suit your lifestyle. So we've mixed that in. I'm going to add some salt and pepper. Now, I've fallen in love with these. now you might be able to help me here, guys, from JTS. These are the Swahili. This is the lemon pepper, this one, and they have their own little grinder on top, and I absolutely adore them.
And we've also recently, just given that this is Great Big Green Week, introduced those as refill packs as well. So if people like the grinder but don't want to buy a new one each time, which is perfectly reasonable, there are now refill packs available, and the boxes are cardboard, and what looks like plastic that they're wrapped in inside isn't. It's compostable. So there's only a small number of the different grinders that are available in the refill packs so far, but if we get a good take up for them, we'll introduce more.
Brilliant. And then the seaweed salt, what's that called? Cohesan, am I right?
Khoisan,
and that's what I'm using as the salt. And then there's the rainbow peppercorns as well. But I do adore the lemon pepper and the seaweed salt. So that's, I mean, the seaweed salt, the seaweed is catching on. I've just come back from Donegal, and they're very good in Ireland. I don't know how good Fairtrade is in Ireland actually, but they're quite good, and they use a lot of seaweed. It's into salads now, and patés and mackerel patés, and some sprinkles of seaweed. So it's really catching on. Is the seaweed?
Yeah,
right.
Sounds great. Yeah. It's Fairtrade in Ireland. We have quite a connection with Fairtrade Ireland. I've worked with them on the Nestlé campaign last summer, and all of the all of the places that are Fairtrade in Northern Ireland are certified by both the UK and Ireland. So they're double certified as Fairtrade. So there's an awful lot of connection between the UK and Ireland in terms of Fairtrade.
That's good. That's good to hear. Good to hear. So back to our mixture. Let's see what else we're going to add. Now we've got some breadcrumbs. These are very fine because I tend to, when I've got quite a bit of bread, I tend to bob it in the bottom of my oven when something slows cooking. So I try not to, I try and economise a little bit, and then I whiz it in my food processor. And actually, I've made these quite fine. So there's only an ounce, so 25 grams. Old-fashioned money was an ounce, and it's very fine, so you really wouldn't know it was there. I mean, if you are gluten-free, you could omit it. You could omit it. You could. It's just another layer of substance in there. Just another layer of getting that. Sounds silly, really, but that meatiness to a dish is the breadcrumb. It just sort of brings a binding and brings everything together. But don't worry if you are gluten-free. Just leave it out. Now, this is where we can go a little bit awry. And on the recipe, I've given you all sorts of variations. A chopped pepper, mushrooms, the Malawi Gold hot sauce, which is lovely, just a capful. You could use a couple of teaspoons of the hot chili pesto, all Fairtrade, all available from JTS. The fabulous tomato and basil sauce, we're using that a bit later on this week. Anything like that. The pickle, the lime pickle, I put in one of the last lot. And you've got to like that Indian thing. You've got to like that pickle flavour. But it was really quite nice. It really was a little bit different. But the ones I've pre-cooked for you to show you had a touch of the hot sauce in, and I mean just a touch. But once again, very personal to you, depending on what it is you like. So into there, we're adding an egg. Okay, so we'll beat an egg into the lentils. If you've added the hot sauce, if you've added the pickle, if you've left it out, if you've added the other chopped vegetables, this is where you could dice them small. This is where you could, I don't say throw anything in, but don't be afraid to experiment, because this little dish is excellent to have as a tea, as a dinner. If somebody is vegetarian, it slices up beautifully. I've stuffed mushrooms with it to show you tonight. I've stuffed a pepper. I've made it into a loaf tin so it slices like a meatloaf. This one we're going to put in a cake tin so you can cut it in wedges. Just the possibilities are endless. So
yeah, it sounds like a really good basic recipe to have in your armoury, really. The sort of thing that once you've bought the lentils, you can just keep going with them and make a different thing every time.
Yeah, great for a picnic. Absolutely fabulous for a picnic. And I tell you what, it acts a bit like a vegetarian pate. You know, you could put parmesan in. You could put, you know, well, anyway, like I say, the one I've got to show you, I use cubed feta. So that was another in a stuffed mushroom. So there you go. I'll just put just a touch of the hot sauce in, just because I love this. Once again, this is the Malawi Gold hot chili sauce, and you really do need only a bit. This is what we put in when we made the chicken and the salsa, and we put this in the salsa with some red wine vinegar, and it was fabulous. So good mixing: egg, breadcrumbs, lentils, onions, flavourings, and then now cheese, given that the recipe says cheese and lentil slice. Now, once again, on the recipe I put a good strong cheddar. Yeah, because you get that nice little tang back here with a good cheddar. You could use parmesan if you like parmesan. Tell you what's nice, a nice blue cheese. If you like blue cheese, Harrogate Blue, been here in Yorkshire, Shepherd's Purse. This, what I'm going to use today, is a Wensleydale. So it'll have a different flavour. I think you could, a vegetarian cheese, a vegan cheese. Just showing you. See there? I'll just show you these.
So what you're looking for is something that melts quite easily, isn't it, really, for the cheese? Something that you can melt into the lentils.
Well, you are and you aren't, because the one I've got to show you was cubed feta, which doesn't really melt, but it gives it another dimension. So you're using the same base with a different accent on the cheese. So this will melt, but it won't be as heavily cheesed. You know, some people like a touch of cheese. I'm quite a cheese fan, so when I have something cheesy, I like it cheesy. I'll just get a drop more water for the lentils.
Yeah. So I suppose with the feta, you'd probably be in a situation where you were coming across really nice chunks of feta while
or crumbled or anything. But you could use, as I say, you could use a blue cheese. You could use a mixture.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, a couple of different types.
A couple of different types of cheese. A cheddar, a melting cheddar, and then a milder one. So this will have a slight cheesy taste. So basically, that is, as you can see there, that's our mixture. Can you see? Let me just come a bit closer and show you the kind of texture. So we've got something that will hold its shape. It's got the egg in to bind. It's got the bit of breadcrumb. That's a bit firmer because of the breadcrumb. Okay, but if you like I say, you weren't using breadcrumb, it would just be a little bit softer. So what I've got for this one is I've just used a round flan case, and I've got one of these paper. I treat myself to these because I think it's really decadent to do that. But apparently WI, you can't have a ridged cake. It's not considered proper. So but it's perfect for this.
Yeah, my mum, we used to reuse butter, you know, the paper that butter was wrapped in. That's what we used to use for cakes in liners. So yeah, but I mean the WI is great. The WI were one of the founding organisations of the Fairtrade Foundation going back 25 years. So they've always been really supportive of Fairtrade, even though they're purists about flan cases.
I've done a few WI talks, and I tell you what, you have a good evening. You know, the ladies, they're inquisitive, they ask the questions, they're interested, you know, they've got thoughts and comments, and it's always a little bit awe-inspiring when you go talk baking to people that have baked for hundreds of years, you know. So I'm a little bit in awe of them, and yeah, I think it's a lovely setup to go have a chat with WI. Just in case any WI people come to this. Right, so that'll go in the oven, and hopefully by the time we've asked questions, I mean, I'll just put it in, and then I'll just, you know, these cook-alongs, we want them to be about an hour. However, that's taken me under half. Okay, I have the lentils pre-done, but virtually I needn't have done because these are nearly there anyway. And I kind of make no apology for it being not a long time, because that to me is a good recipe. You've got a good recipe with quality ingredients, cost-effective ingredients. I mean, we've just heard, haven't we, that gas bills, gas going to go through the roof and everybody's going to panic and things. Well, you know, lentils at 20 minutes on the stove and 20 minutes in the oven is not bad, really, for cooking a meal. So yeah, it's, you know, I would like it to last longer, and we haven't finished yet by all means, but I actually think that's kept people interested, because it's not taken that long, and people could nearly remember that in their head, because once you boil those lentils, ultimately you just put everything else in, you know.
Yeah, that's right. It's what you'd call a really quick tea, but it's so nutritious, and you know that you're using Fairtrade organic ingredients, and it's all good stuff. And to be able to cook a ready meal like a lasagna or something, put that in the oven, it's 40 minutes. So you might as well be spending that time cooking properly and really good ingredients.
Yeah, you're just breaking up a bit, Joanna. So
yeah, I'm sorry, it's my internet connection. I'm actually in a Premier Inn at the moment, so that's why I'm struggling a bit.
Okay, right, but yes, so you know, I mean, let's talk about these lentils that I've just got cooking here before we look at the end result. You know, I'm sure there's people out there could maybe tap in and send you an answer. I have a pan of virtually cooked red lentils. Somebody tell me what could happen, what could we do with those other than what we've just made? Anybody got anybody? What does anybody else do? Let's find out what other people do. Do you add more stock and a bit of make a cream, make a lentil soup? You know, if you are vegetarian, if you're not vegetarian, and you boil a ham hock, and you use the water from your ham hock with the sliced of ham, do you let that down and have a, you know, ham and lentil soup? What you know, I'd like to know, because it's not it's not all about what I bring you. It's about sharing those ideas that, you know, here you have a pound of lentils that are pennies, basically pennies, and it'd be nice to know what we do with them. And using the Fairtrade products, I think, is just an absolute winner. So while I
Yeah,
was,
absolutely. Yeah. Karina's agreeing with you. She's lentil soup with grated carrot, turnips that are sweet. It's turnip in Scotland, Swede in England, isn't it? An onion. When I'm using lentils, I like to put them in a nut roast. So if you can add nuts and mushrooms and all those things, that's a nice thing to do with lentils.
yeah. Well, what's this? I put mine in a North African stew. Like, you see, fabulous. I mean, you know, I think we do get a bit mixed up sometimes that we've used lentils. I grew up with pulses because my mum was one of the first people way back that was into a whole food, and she had this obsession with Cranks, which was a vegetarian restaurant in London. And I have to say that some of these recipes are very loosely based on what we experienced in Cranks, and so, but she would mix her pulses with meat dishes, with fish dishes. You know, she didn't see them as, if you have pulses, you're vegetarian. You know, she used butter beans. She made a beautiful butter bean and beef, cubes of beef and butter bean bake, you know, and it was absolutely gorgeous because it filled us up. The beans filled up a big family, which is, you know, what I'm from.
Yeah.
So
Emma's suggesting. Yeah.
Sorry, I missed that, Joanne.
That's right. So Emma's suggesting thickening, using lentils to thicken vegetable curries.
Right.
Actually, yeah. About using lentils to thicken curries, chicken curry or a lamb curry or something like that. That would be a really nice way of using them as well.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would. Yeah. And I've done like chicken thighs in the tomato and basil with chunks of pepper and tin tomatoes and the passata and things. And then I've used chickpeas. I put the chickpeas in, cut chickpeas, and it has a really nice kind of like Mediterranean flavour. So that's rather nice to use the chickpeas with chicken.
Yeah. That sounds great. So yeah, well, we've been talking about the lentils. So I'm wondering if Tracy can tell us a little bit more about where they come from. Is it India, Tracy?
That's right. Yes. I'm not muted. No, right. Can people see that if I share a screen? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not starting at the beginning though. So right. So I work for Just Trading Scotland, JTS, and we launched these pulses back in June. We had hoped to launch them a long time before that, but the combination of the pandemic and Brexit delayed the launch quite substantially. But yeah, they are both organic certified and Fairtrade certified and from India. We work with an organisation called Nature Biofoods over there. They are a big Fairtrade organisation. We work with, they work in total with around 70,000 farming families, and they have a real mission to bring radical social change, development, etc., to the communities that they work with. Although it talks on this slide about working to convert the land to organic from the foothills of the Himalayas to the central and southern part of the continent, our products come, the three products that we buy from them at the moment, all come from central India, in that state there that I'm not sure I know how to pronounce, but Madhya Pradesh, something like that. So in the central region of India. And I have to say, when I first saw this earlier, I was like, oh, right, yes, I've heard of part of that, because certainly when I was growing up, the Bhopal disaster was one of the things that we were aware of, and so on. So the pulses come, I don't know if you can see my mouse when I'm moving it, but it's this sort of northeast of Bhopal, which is the state capital in that part of India. So a couple of photos. I certainly had no idea what these things would look like growing. So on the left there, you've got the tur dal plant, and the other two pictures are chickpeas, apparently, and the combination of chickpea harvesting and a sampling of chickpeas. I'm going to stop the screen share there because the rest of it isn't quite so much about the producers, and just talk a little bit more about some of the challenges that they face. It's a really dry part of India. The whole district faces quite a water crisis for both farming and drinking water. And the farmers working with Nature Bio have had training and have adapted their farming accordingly. They're cultivating crops that require less irrigation. And I'd never come across this term, I'm sure lots of you probably have, but these pulses are a kharif crop, which means that they are really good, essentially linked to the monsoon. So they are cultivated and harvested during the monsoon season, which lasts from June to November, depending exactly on the area. We'll define when exactly. They get 1 or 2 rains during that rainy season. The rest of the requirements come from wells. They are working with the farmers to install drinking water filters. They've done it in a couple of the villages so far, and there's plans to provide household water for the whole project area over the coming years. So that's just a little bit about them. I've got a little bit more to talk about the water filters and some of the projects we're doing with them later, but I'm sensing that maybe there's some food ready to look at.
No, actually, sometimes it's really interesting to see how a crop grows, isn't it? You know, sometimes we don't think of the actual crop growing when we're just picking up bags of dried produce. I'm really fascinated, like peanuts, you know, I didn't realise they grew underground, you know, so those types of things. Yes, I do have some food to show you. So let's just, okay, like anything, a stuffed pepper is a lot tastier than it looks. So I just wonder if I could bring this a bit closer to you. So I've used some of this mixture with the feta, and I've stuffed a couple of red peppers. Now, these red peppers were possibly just on the softer side, and I wouldn't have put them in a salad. They were just probably, you know, I buy the wonky ones. So keeping it right that way. So the thing is, baking them like that with this, because they end up softening up anyway, perfect for cooking. So I've filled them. And then also I have a big field mushroom here. So let me just cut that. And I took the little stalk out and then piled it high with the mixture. So there you go. Can you see that? Can you see that? Anybody? It needs to come a bit closer. There we go. That's your stuffed mushroom.
Yes.
Better. So
yes,
that's your lentil, your mixture. Yeah, and then the feta. And as I say, let's just cut the pepper so that once again we can see that the pepper has soaked it up, and that's gone lovely and soft and tasty. Now, when I was
so you've just stuffed that and put it in the oven.
Yes, I put
you
them,
just stuffed.
I cut the peppers in half, took out the seed. So I had a cavity, and I filled it with the uncut mixture, and then put them on a baking tray and just bobbed them in a hottish oven, about gas mark 5, about 180, and 15-20 minutes, just so that the top crusted up, because actually it's cooked, it just needs to set and the pepper to cook. Same with the mushroom. Now, when I was trialing these recipes, my chap Tom, we were eating them, so we had them 3 nights running, and we had a salad, a mixed salad with these, and it turned, they were beautiful. You know, he said he didn't feel like he was trialing something. He was quite happy sitting down thinking that he was having a lovely meal. Now, if you wanted it sort of a bit more dinner party style, with my trusty basil here on the side, it's gone a bit wilted. I made this one, I'll bring it up to the camera so you can see. I made this one in a loaf tin, lined loaf tin, and sliced it. So this could go on a picnic, eaten cold, with some of the dill pickle on the side, maybe, and the fetta's in it, so the dill pickle on the side. This has got a bit of the hot sauce in. This could slice for a buffet, for a party. And I think being able to provide a dish for vegetarian guests, but you'd be surprised how many meat eaters like the opportunity to eat vegetarian food, because I sometimes think that eating meat-free dishes every now and again is lighter. No matter what it is, you get a lighter finish. You don't have, excuse me, that Yorkshire word of being pogged for, not like Christmas dinner. You have to undo your trousers. So I think something like this on a buffet table, as I say, I could have made that bigger had I not used this. Or you can double your recipe. As I say, at the moment, we've got in the oven a circle to cut into wedges. Perfect for a picnic, you know, perfect for, you know, people go on these ones where you go to the open air music things and you sit outside and you listen to orchestras and things like that. Leeds City Council, excuse me, I just coughed. Leeds City Council used to do them free, but that ended about 5 years ago. Anyway, I digress. So I think you've got a fabulous basis here, and I think this with a little bit of that, not the pickle in it, but on the side of it, because I put the pickle in.
Yeah, a little.
And as much as I liked it, I think I prefer it on the side than in.
Yeah, you get more of that hit, can't you, with it? Yeah, and that's one of the things. I mean, as I say, we're in Great Big Green Week. One of the greenest things that we can do is to reduce the amount of meat in our diets. And if we can replace it with other proteins like these pulses, that's one of the best things that we can do in terms of reducing our own personal climate carbon footprint.
Yeah.
Because obviously, and it's healthier for us, healthier for the planet.
I think however you can contribute, you know, this was made on top of the stove. We boiled it. If you didn't want to put the egg in it, you could use it. You could use it like that. You could use it as like a mash. You know, you could put it on top of I don't know, something underneath. You could use it as a mashed topping. I mean, later on tomorrow we're going to make the rissoles, and Wednesday we're going to make a fabulous thing, which I do hope those that have joined tonight and haven't joined tomorrow or Wednesday do try to come along, because chickpea rissoles tomorrow, pretty good. Like I say, make a big batch, freeze them, and then you take them out and just deep fry them a bit like, oh, you don't have to deep fry them. Spray them with a bit of oil and put them in the oven. It really is. People don't like deep frying, I understand that. And Wednesdays is a fabulous alternative pie filling. And I made it in a phyllo pie. But also the same, once again, if you are a meat eater, I'm not telling you not to be a meat eater, but you could substitute some of this Wednesday's pie filling with your mince or something, so that you're not spending and you are economizing that way. And so you're reducing your meat content by not buying as much. So for example, you're making a shepherd's pie for your family, you might buy a pound of mince. You probably might only need to use half a pound of mince and half a pound of this pie mixture. On saying that though, it's perfectly lovely on its own. So that's the idea of these 3 nights, is flavour, exciting, opening your store cupboard. Nobody has to go get anything fancy. We've got these beautiful JTS products which are available. Fairtrade products, I am absolutely sold on them. I mean, I tried my best to get Fairtrade wherever I could, and I'd go into the Oxfam shop and buy Coke. I've always done things like that. But exciting dishes, cost effective, cheap, tasty, and get your families involved, get the kids involved, because the more they do these things, the better they will be. So this loaf here, well, you could take a bit for your lunch. You could use it like a patty and put a slice on some toast or on crackers, you know, as a substitute. So I am waffling somewhat because I'm quite passionate about people cooking and baking, but cooking and baking within the realms of the budget, within the realms of their flavours, within the boundaries of what they want to do. Nothing takes a long time. You can pick up any one of these 3 recipes this week, or the ones we did before for Fairtrade, and most things will be in your cupboard, or they'll be on a Fairtrade shelf somewhere. So nothing's far away. You don't have to go get yak's milk. Well, I don't know why I've just said yak's milk, but I'm just thinking of something completely off the cuff that would be hard to find. Milk from a yak. So I'm just going to check this in the oven because I don't think this will be long.
Yeah, I think one of the best things about this recipe is how we can make more of it and use it for different things. And I think, Tracy, you wanted to ask about how what sort of sizes of pack people were interested in these lentils in particular.
So when we introduced these products, we have launched them in 500-gram pouches, which is sort of the retail pack, and they're also available for zero waste shops in 25-kilo sacks. And we have had some feedback already that the individuals would like bigger bags, partly to reduce the plastic impact of the bags that they're coming in, but also if you're somebody who uses a decent amount of lentils, 500 grams is actually quite a small package.
Yeah.
But
Actually, tonight, half of that.
25 kilos is a huge bag. So love to get a little bit of feedback from the people that are on the call as to what size would work. Do people want 1 kilo, 3 kilo, 5 kilo, some other number? We're not going to be able to do it quickly because what we've got in stock is probably the best. What we brought in was a whole container of these products, so we've got quite a lot that we will be selling in the 2 sizes that we've currently got. But as we start thinking towards the second order with the producer, knowing what the customers would like would be really helpful.
Well, can I be the first to add that I think a kilo bag, I mean, this recipe, just this one, calls for 225 grams. So that's practically half a bag, isn't it? So you'd only get, so I think a kilo, because I think people can store a kilo. Like you said, too big can be a difficult way to put them. And I have a shelf at the side here with all jars on, which I love. I love different jars and different things in. So I do keep them in it because I can see things going down, knowing when I need to restock. And I think the jar takes a kilo. So for me, a kilo would be a good amount for me.
Any other thoughts, or put them in the chat if you'd rather than typing or rather than speaking. If I can, just whilst I've got my mic unmuted, can I just mention one other bit that we're working a little bit with the farmers. So they are organic, so they've done a lot of work to convert the farms to organic and to use only organic inputs, and I guess partly following sort of blogs that have been written in the past by the Tradecraft chief exec around the importance of the soil and so on. I've become personally more and more convinced of the need for us to think very carefully about what we're putting into soil and so on. But the other thing we're doing with the, or that Nature Bio are doing, is working with the producers. And I'm just going to share another screen if I can. I mentioned water filters for the farmers and getting household water and so on. They're also doing some amazing work with distribution of essentially making sanitary pads and then passing on reusable sanitary pads for the local community. And I'm pretty certain both of those are going to feature in the Gavin's Mill Gifts catalogue this year as opportunities for people to get involved and buy something alternative as a Christmas gift. And certainly if you would like any more information on those things, we're still at the sort of building the relationship with this producer stage, so we don't have lots of information at the moment. But those are the sort of two areas that we're aware of work they're doing that's over and above just obviously the benefit that the farmers get from producing and selling on fair trade terms organic products.
Yeah, so is that the sort of thing that they're using the fair trade premiums for? Because obviously with them being fair trade certified, there will be a
yes, I mean, I think they are quite a small group that actually produce these products at the moment. So I don't know how much they've been able to do with fair trade premiums yet, but obviously the more we can sell, the more they'll be able to do directly with the fair trade premiums. We're also looking to see whether there's options of us, as I say, through the Gavin's Mill Gifts, which is a little bit like the Oxfam Buy a Goat sort of scheme. Gavin's Mill Gifts is an alternative gifts catalogue where it hasn't launched yet for this Christmas, I don't think, but where you can buy something other than an actual gift for people, and the money goes to support that producer group, or some of it's for women's aid groups in the UK and so on. But you can choose which one that you do. But yes, I mean, they are fair trade certified, so you're absolutely right, Joanna. There will be premium that's supporting the producers as well.
Oh, very good. That's good. Now, I just want to prep you all for tomorrow. So please, those that have joined tonight and haven't joined tomorrow, come along tomorrow, please, please. You'll love it, because look, we've got chickpeas. So tonight, I mean, do this after or anything, but if you fancy doing it after I've shown you, I've got 200, hang on, I shall tell you, I think it's probably 200, once again, 225 grams of the chickpeas, and I'm going to do nothing more than fill them with cold water. Okay, that's it. Now I'm going to leave them overnight, and they will plump up, and then in my trusty wide pan, I'll boil them for just simmer them. Once again, let them simmer away just under an hour. But if I was doing these not for tomorrow, I would I would do the 500 gram bag and make lots of the rissoles, and as I say, like I said, freeze them. But we'll see how that goes on tomorrow, once again with the additions of just what you like flavour wise. But they're a bit nice as well, and you can make them a little bit small, and with something like a raita with them, with a mint and yogurt dip with some cucumber in. It's absolutely gorgeous. So get your peas on tonight to soak, and we can do this. We can do these tomorrow. So
we'll make some risks tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that's kind of me for tonight. I hope you've enjoyed it. Come again tomorrow. I just want to once again just say, nobody's got my arm up my back. Nobody's making me do this. I want to get out there the actual quality and flavour of fair trade products. It's a win-win situation. We're helping farmers become independent. We're helping them get away from all sorts of tyranny and everything like that. but the quality, I just cannot express how much the quality. This pasta sauce is to die for. I wouldn't bother making it, honestly. And I've used this on my pizzas. So, you know, and it takes a lot to somebody that's very, very happy to cook and make a tomato sauce to say, no, I'm happy to use a jar. Because normally I wouldn't be, you know, so that's me. So see you 7 o'clock tomorrow. Please come along. Join in as much as you can. No doubt I'll still be coughing, but as a true professional, the show will go on and I'll be here. I might be a bit lower down, a bit on my knees, but don't worry, we'll be here. You know, I'll get some Zooms. As people keep mentioning Zooms, but I think we're looking at a blast from the past, looking for Zooms. Anyway.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you so much, Sandy. And yes, just another word about tomorrow night. So obviously we've got our cook along 7 till 8, and then at 8 o'clock we get to meet the new batch of Bake Off contestants. So that's all exciting, but don't forget to come on at 7.
Yes, no pressure there. I mean, I can't believe this, to say that there's all these Bake Off people. I've been run today by Radio Leeds, BBC Radio Leeds, BBC Radio Stoke, and BBC Radio Berkshire. I mean, Berkshire, I can't even say Berkshire properly. I say Berkshire. And then I'm reviewing on a Wednesday morning for watching it tomorrow. So I'll be shooting off tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll have to watch it on Channel 4+1. And then there's every chance that I'll probably drop off to sleep before 10 o'clock. So I won't know what's happened. So what's 8 o'clock one? So we'll be working at speed tomorrow. Still good fun, but working at speed. And I hope people are a little bit more comfortable and coming with those questions, because no question's a daft question in my book.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, thank you so much, Sandy. And I hope your cough does miraculously get better overnight. And thank you so much to everybody that's come along tonight. It's certainly a recipe that I'm going to be using over the next few years, and yeah, if we're looking at lentils, so yeah, absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you very much, everybody. Good night.
Thanks.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.